Hey there and welcome. Today I'm reading from The Science of Getting Rich by Wattles, a public domain work originally published in 1910. I'll be reading select portions and offering commentary through a Gnostic and consciousness based lens. This is not an audiobook, this is a commentary series. And this particular video is chapters 15 and 16. Diving straight in because I read this and it's juicy. It's juicy. It's going to give you what you're looking for, the science of getting rich. All right, chapter 15, The Advancing Man. What I have said in the last chapter applies as well to the professional man and the wage earner as to the man who is engaged in mercantile business. No matter whether you are a physician, a teacher, or a clergyman, if you can give increase of life to others and make them sensible of the fact, they will be attracted to you and you will get rich. The physician who holds the vision of himself as a great and successful healer and who works toward the complete realization of that vision with faith and purpose, as described in former chapters, will come into such close touch with the source of life that he will be phenomenally successful. Patients will come to him in throngs. No one has a greater opportunity to carry into effect the teachings of this book than the practitioner of medicine. It does not matter which of the various schools he may belong, for the principle of healing is common to all of them and may be reached by all alike. The advancing man in medicine who holds a clear mental image of himself as successful and who obeys the laws of faith, purpose, and gratitude will cure every curable disease he undertakes, no matter what remedies he may use. In the field of religion, the world cries out for the clergyman who can teach his hearers the true science of abundant life. He who masters the details of the science of getting rich, together with the allied sciences of being well, of being great, and of winning love, and who teaches these details from the pulpit, will never lack for a congregation. This is the gospel that the world needs. It will give increase of life, and men will hear it gladly, and will give liberal support to the man who brings it to them. What is now needed is a demonstration of the science of life from the pulpit. We want preachers who can not only tell us how, but who in their own persons will show us how. We need the preacher who himself be rich, healthy, great, and beloved to teach us how to attain these things. And when he comes, he will find a numerous and loyal following. The same is true of the teacher who can inspire the children with the faith and purpose of advancing life. He will never be out of a job. And any teacher who has this faith and purpose can give it to his pupils. He cannot help giving it to him if that is part of his own life and practice. What is true of the teacher, preacher, and physician is true of the lawyer, the dentist, real estate man, and insurance agent. It is true of everybody. The combined mental and personal action I have described is infallible. It cannot fail. Every man and woman who follows these instructions steadily, perseveringly, and to the letter will get rich. The law of the increase of life is mathematically as certain in its operation as the law of gravitation. Getting rich is an exact science. The wage earner will find this as true in his case as of any of the others mentioned. Do not feel that you have no chance to get rich because you are working where there is no visible opportunity for advancement, where wages are small and the cost of living high. Form your clear mental vision of what you want and begin to act with faith and purpose. Do all the work you can do every day and do each piece of work in a perfectly successful manner. Put the power of success and the purpose to get rich into everything that you do. But do not do this merely with the idea of currying favor with your employer in the hope that he or those above you will see your good work and advance you. It is not likely that they will do so. The man who is merely a good workman, filling his place to the very best of his ability and satisfied with that, is valuable to his employer, and it is not to the employer's interest to promote him. He is worth more where he is. To secure advancement, something more is necessary than to be too large for your place. The man who is certain to advance is the one who is too big for his place and who has a clear concept of what he wants to be, who knows that he can become what he wants to be, and who is determined to be what he wants to be. Do not try to do more do not try to more than fill your present place with the view of pleasing to your employer. Do it with the idea of advancing yourself. Hold the faith and purpose of increase during work hours, after work hours, and before work hours. Hold it in such a way that every person who comes in contact with you, whether foreman, fellow workman, or social acquaintance, will feel the power of purpose radiating from you, so that everyone will get the sense of advancement and increase from you. Men will be attracted to you, and if there is no possibility for advancement in your present job, you will very soon see an opportunity to take another job. There is a power which never fails to present opportunity to the advancing man who is moving in obedience to law. God cannot help helping you if you act in a certain way. He must do so in order to help himself. There is nothing in your circumstances or in the industrial situation that can keep you down. If you cannot get rich working for the Steel Trust, you can get rich on a 10-acre farm. And if you begin to move in a certain way, you will certainly escape from the clutches of the Steel Trust and get on the farm or wherever else you wish to be. If a few thousands of its employees would enter upon the certain way, the Steel Trust would soon be in a bad plight. It would have to give its workmen more opportunity or go out of business. Nobody has to work for a trust. The trust can keep men in so-called hopeless conditions only so long as there are men who are too ignorant to know of the science of getting rich or too intellectually slothful to practice it. Begin this way of thinking and acting, and your faith and purpose will make you quick to see any opportunity to better your condition. Such opportunities will speedily come, for the Supreme, working in all and working for you, will bring them before you. Do not wait for an opportunity to be all that you want to be. When an opportunity to be more than you are now is presented and you feel impelled toward taking it, take it. It will be the first step toward greater opportunity. There is no such thing possible in this universe as lack of opportunities for the man who is living the advancing life. It is inherent in the constitution of the cosmos that all things shall be for him and work together for his good, and he must certainly get rich if he acts and thinks in this certain way. So let wage earning men and women study this book with great care and enter with confidence upon the course of action it prescribes. It will not fail. All right, chapter 15. We're going to go back to the very start of this, and he talked about the physician who holds the vision of himself as a great and successful healer. What? Like the great physician? Absolutely. This is identity work. If he holds the vision of himself. So that's what Jesus talked about in the I am. So when I have my coaching clients, sometimes we'll do a journey, and I'm like, when you go to sleep tonight, like after we do this meditation together, this healing session together, I say, when you go to sleep tonight, say goodbye to the things that plagued you, like they're gone, and then wake up in that new identity. Waking up in that new identity. Look for the differences, and also look for the reminders that you're not that person anymore, which are called fears and doubts. And so I loved it when the physician sees himself as a great and powerful healer. Like that's who he's going to be. And then he goes on to talk about the field of religion. The world cries out for a clergyman who can teach his hearers the true science of abundant life. Like, duh. Like, so many times in churchianity, and I have no bones to pick necessarily. I have bones to pick with lording information over each other or giving microphones to people who say things that are just spouting blind faith. There's nothing wrong with blind faith. We need that. But faith is the assurance. Like, how do we assure something? Well, he who masters the way that he uses his mind will never lack. How do you teach the details of this? This is the gospel that the world needs, the book says. It'll give liberal support to the man who brings it to him. So this is the demonstration. We need a pastor who will actually do it and not just say it from stage, but this is quoting the book, but who in their own persons will show us how. We need the preacher who himself become rich, healthy, great, and beloved to teach us how to do these things. How do we do this? We envision it. We embody it. We know, we become it. What is it? What is this certain way? What is this right way of being? It's dawning the I am identity. There's a reason back in 1910 he had to talk around it. He had to piddle fart. He had to pussyfoot around it. Because back then in 1910, the consciousness of the masses was if he said you are God and you operate as God, He would have been stoned and blasphemed and all the things just like Jesus was and just like some of y'all want to do for me right now. But the reality is now in 2026 as opposed to 1910, okay? In 2026 now we can conceptualize the I amness of universal consciousness. And so we understand manifestation in a whole different way. This is the science. This is the science. And when we talk about whole brain synchronization and heart mind coherence and how your thoughts do create your reality, your identity forms your thoughts. Your identity shapes your beliefs. Your beliefs shape your identity. It is both and, my baby. My baby. So, anyway, let me keep going. What's true of everybody's everybody. And so I just want to say pause on the clergymen. That's what Divine Wellness Ministries is. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm building a retreat center, a healing center, a divine union embodiment retreat space. Like, yes, 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 get inundated with the knowing and activated. Like, who are you? It's love, 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 love. Anyway, I'm getting excited. Going back into the book, form your clear. He talks about the wage earner. Everybody can do this. How do we do this? So you form your clear mental vision of what you want and you begin to act with faith and purpose. Faith is knowing. Faith is knowing without seeing, and you're walking with purpose. You have a goal. You have a goal. It's clear. You know it, and you've got that clear mental vision of what you want, and you know that every single thing you're doing, no matter what, is leading you to that end. That's what that means. So moving down, he talks about to secure advancement, something more is necessary than to be too large for your place. And when I was reading that, it was like too large. Well, you know you're not in the right position. Too large for your place. Like you are advancing, you are evolving. Where you are no longer fits you. And it makes me think of the butterfly, the chrysalis and the butterfly. So moving down, keeping the imagery of the chrysalis and the butterfly in mind, reading, the man who is certain to advance is the one who is too big for his place. He knows his chrysalis is getting too small and who has a clear concept of what he wants to be. This man knows he wants to be a butterfly. Who knows that he can become what he wants to be. This man knows he can become this butterfly and who's determined to be what he wants to be. He's determined to break out of the chrysalis. Okay, so I'm going to read it without my cute little notes. The man who is certain to advance is the one who is too big for his place and who has a clear concept of what he wants to be, who knows that he can become what he wants to be, and who is determined to be what he wants to be. That's the freaking secret. You're not happy with where you are. You know where you want to be. You know you can become what you want to be and you're determined to get there, baby. That's it. Moving on. God cannot help but helping you. If you act in a certain way, then you identify with God. And God must do so in order to help himself. What it says in there, God cannot help helping you if you act in a certain way. He must do so in order to help himself. As the consciousness of God, as the hands and feet of God, as the message, as the embodiment of the message that Jesus Christ brought to earth, God can't help but bless you. That is, the Bible is wrought with that message. Any wisdom text. You are loved and perfect the way you are. The only thing in your way is using your tool of the mind in the wrong way. That's what that is. Moving on. Um, Nobody has to work for a trust. The trust can keep men in so called hopeless conditions only so long as there are men who are too ignorant to know of the science of getting rich or too intellectually slothful to practice it. Intellectually slothful, man, that will convict somebody. Do you want to know why? Because that's this dopamine addicted culture that we can see very easily if we just look for it. I intellectually slothful. I know it, but I don't do it. Intellectually slothful. I'm not going to do the work of believing that I can be well. Do you want to be well? Do you want to be healed? Do you want to be saved? Do what you need to do so that you can have all the riches, quite literally, cha-ching, but also spiritually. Like King Solomon, what he wanted wisdom. This is the wisdom. Intellectually slothful. Now I have to be careful as to not be a hypocrite because I'm doing this because I've wavered and wobbled. Like this is not necessarily like effortless to go from this way of being to that way of being. It is effortless, but the where the effort is releasing the thought. So being too intellectually slothful to practice actually knowing what you want and training your mind to remember that at any moment, everything you do is blessed and working in your favor. Everything is working in your favor. When you live from that knowing and that identity, baby, you are living in a certain way. So to finish it out, it says, let wage earning men and women study this book with great care and enter with confidence upon the course of action it prescribes. It will not fail. Boom. Moving on to chapter 16. This is actually the very last chapter in the book. I'm going to come back around and do a closing summary of it, which is going to be a summation of the entire book in one video. But this one is chapter 16, titled Some Cautions and Concluding Observations. Many people will scoff at the idea that there is an exact science of getting rich, holding the impression that the supply of wealth is limited. They will insist that social and governmental institutions must be changed before any considerable number of people can acquire a competence. But this is not true. It is true that existing governments keep the masses in poverty, but this is because the masses do not think and act in the certain way. If the masses begin to move forward as suggested in this book, neither governments nor industrial systems can check them. All systems must be modified to accommodate the forward movement. If the people have advancing mind, have faith that they can become rich, and move forward with the fixed purpose to become rich, nothing can possibly keep them in poverty. Individuals may enter upon the certain way at any time and under any government and make themselves rich. And when any considerable number of individuals do so under any government, they will cause the system to be so modified as to open the way for others. The more men who get rich on the competitive plane, the worse for others. The more men who get rich on the creative plane, the better for others. The economic salvation of the masses can only be accomplished by getting a large number of people to practice the scientific method set down in this book and become rich. These will show others the way and inspire them with a desire for real life, with the faith that it can be attained, and with the purpose to attain it. For the present, however, it is enough to know that neither the government under which you live nor the capitalistic or competitive system of industry can keep you from getting rich. When you enter upon the creative plane of thought, you will rise above all these things and become a citizen of a whole another kingdom. But remember that your thought must be held upon the creative plane. You are never for an instant to be betrayed into regarding the supply as limited or into acting on the moral level of competition. Whenever you do fall into old ways of thought, correct yourself instantly. For when you are in the competitive mind, you have lost the cooperation of the mind of the whole. Do not spend any time in planning as to how you will meet the possible emergencies in the future, except as the necessary policies that may affect your actions today. You are concerned with doing today's work in a perfectly successful manner and not with emergencies which may arise tomorrow. You can attend to them as they come. Do not concern yourself with questions as to how you shall surmount obstacles which may loom upon your business horizon, unless you can see plainly that your course must be altered today in order to avoid them. No matter, no matter how tremendous or an obstruction may appear at a distance, you will find that if you go into the certain way, it will disappear as you approach it, or that a way over, through, or around it will appear. No possible combination of circumstances can defeat a man or woman who is proceeding to get rich along strictly scientific lines. No man or woman who obeys the law can fail to get rich any more than one can multiply by two and fail to get four. Give no anxious thought to possible disasters, obstacles, panics, or unfavorable combination of circumstances. It is time enough to meet such things when they present themselves before you in the immediate present, and you will find that every difficulty carries with it the wherewithal for its overcoming. Guard your speech. Never speak of yourself, your affairs, or of anything else in discouraging way. Never admit the possibility of failure, or speak in a way that infers failure as a possibility. Never speak of the times as being hard or of business conditions as being doubtful. Times may be hard and business doubtful for those who are on the competitive plane, but they can never be so for you. You can create what you want and you are above fear. When others are having hard times and poor businesses, you will find your greatest opportunities. Train yourself to think of and to look upon the world as something which is becoming, which is growing, and to regard seeming evil as being only that which is undeveloped. Always speak in terms of advancement, and to do otherwise is to deny your faith. And to deny your faith is to lose it. Never allow yourself to feel disappointed. You may expect to have a certain thing at a certain time and not get it at that time, and this will appear to you like a failure. But if you hold to your faith, you will find that the failure is only apparent. Go on in a certain way, and if you do not receive that thing, you will receive something so much better that you will see that the seeming failure was really a great success. A student of this science had set his mind on making a certain business combination which seemed to him at the time very desirable, and he worked for some weeks to bring it about. When the crucial time came, the thing failed in a perfectly inexplicable way, and it was as if some unseen influence had been working secretly against him. He was not disappointed. On the contrary, he thanked God that his desire had been overruled, and went steadily on with a grateful mind. In a few weeks, an opportunity so much better came his way that he would not have made the first deal on any account, and he saw that a mind which knew more than he knew had prevented him from losing the greater good by entangling himself with the lesser. That is the way every seemingly failure will work out for you, if you keep your faith, hold to your purpose, have gratitude, and do every day all that can be done that day, doing each separate act in a successful manner. When you make like a failure, it is because you have not asked for enough. Keep on, and a larger thing than you were seeking will certainly come to you. Remember this. You will not fail because you lack the necessary talent to do what you wish to do. If you go on as I have directed, you will develop all the talent that is necessary to do the work of your doing. It is not within the scope of this book to deal with the science of cultivating talent, but it is as certain and as simple as the process of getting rich. However, do not hesitate or waver for fear that when you come into any certain place you will fail for lack of ability. Keep right on. And when you come to that place, the ability will be furnished to you. The same source of ability which had enabled the untaught Lincoln to do the greatest work in government ever accomplished by a single man is open to you. You may draw upon all the mind there is for wisdom to use in meeting the responsibilities which are laid upon you. Go on in full faith. Study this book. Make it your constant companion until you have mastered all the ideas contained in it. While you are getting firmly established in this faith, you will do well to give up most recreations and pleasures, and to stay away from places where ideas conflicting with these are advanced in lectures or sermons. Do not read pessimistic or conflicting literature or get into arguments about the matter. Do very little reading outside of writers mentioned in the preface. Spend most of your leisure time in contemplating your vision and in cultivating gratitude and in reading this book. It contains all you need to know of the science of getting rich, and you will find all the essentials summed up in the following chapter. So I'm going to stop there and go back and give commentary on chapter 16, that is, because it's the culminating chapter. So it talks about some cautions and concluding observations. So it talked about existing government. Like, well, it's true that the governments keep people in poverty, but it doesn't have to be this way. If the masses started to begin to think in a certain way, then all of the structures of government would have to change to help to be for the greater good, actually do what it's intended or supposed to be doing. And that's actually what's happening now in 2026 is things are starting to break down. So thank God for the work they did in 1910 with books and works like this and all through history. But where we are now is we're actually seeing the breakdown of governments and society. So it talked about if the people have the advancing mind, have the faith, that individuals may enter upon the certain way at any time under any government and make themselves rich. So basically, the more people who get rich on the competitive plane, which is efforting and doing, the more people who get rich down here, the worse it is for others. But the more people who get rich in mind first through this creative plane, through the 5D, being heavenly minded, are better for others because we understand compassion and we understand that what we're doing for somebody, we're doing for self. We create bad karma, we get bad karma. We create good karma, we get good karma. The book goes on to say the economic salvation of the masses can only be accomplished by getting a large number of people to practice the scientific method set down in this book and become rich. Huge, bold type font, asterisk, my highlight. These will show others the way and inspire them with a desire for real life, with the faith that it can be attained and with purpose to attain it. That's it. That's it. That's why I'm doing this. That's why you're listening. That's why we are getting rich, and we are rich, and we are pulling it in down into, we are getting to use it in the competitive plane because it came from us from above. It came as from above. And so going on, the book says, when you enter upon the creative plane of thought, you will rise above all these things and become a citizen of another kingdom. But remember that your thought must be held upon in the creative plane. So basically, do not be betrayed into thinking there's not enough, there's a limit, or anything that's of earthly concern. Just know that it's on its way, period. Do not doubt, because you're training your mind, you're using your mind, you're honing the tools of the mind to be of oneness consciousness, to be of unity, and to live from that. Whenever you do fall out, because there's an acclimation period, an integration period, the book says to correct yourself instantly. So, what I say in my coaching conversations, my curious conversations, is like, just go back to it. Just think about what you're thinking about. Just go back to it. And when you catch yourself, the number one thing is don't feel shame. You can't ruin anything. You recognize it, oh, and you go back. And for those of you in the church, in the Christian church, that's called sin and repentance of sin. Oh, shoot, I was out of alignment. Let me go right back. And that's what repent means, is to turn and not go back, is to turn away, turn away, turn away. Stop being a dog to its vomit. Turn away from the thoughts of lack and scarcity. You are abundant. You are God's child. You are a son of God. You lack for nothing, ever. So the book goes on to talk about being present. You're concerned with doing today's work in a perfectly successful manner and not with emergencies. Don't worry about what could come tomorrow. Let tomorrow worry about itself. Be in the now, be in the present. You only ever have this right now moment. Do not store up for yourselves. Plan, just trust and know that no matter what, your needs will be provided for, because we're confounding logical thought. We are ascending above the muck and the mire of this, then that, of the duality. We are remembering that we are non dual beings, and our mind is a mind of whole brain, not this or that, of entire openness, one universal mind. The book goes on to talk about give no anxious thought to possible disasters or all these things. There's all these things. Don't think about that stuff. We know that our thoughts create our reality. The more you dwell, you use your certain energy, your God energy to dwell, the more you create demise. The book says to guard your speech. Never speak of yourself, your affairs, of it, anything in a discouraged or discouraging way. Abracadabra means I create as I speak. Guard your tongue. Never admit the possibility of failure. We're not going to create that. Never speak of the times as being hard or business conditions as being hard or doubtful. We're just creating people who talk about things being hard create things that are hard by talking about it. The book says to train yourself to think of and to look upon the world as something which is becoming. Capital becoming. There's another becoming, meaning the new earth. It's becoming, it's transforming. Never allow yourself to feel disappointed. You can't disappoint the child who is born of the king. They're the son. They can't lose the appointment. Do not disappoint yourself by thinking about things that are not of holiness and richness and stature and goodness. This is about being rich. Like, this dude stripped away all religiosity or moral anything from it and just said, literally, just remember that you're freaking rich. Excuse me. If you hold to your faith, you will find that failure is only apparent. Apparently, it seems like it's a failure, but it's not really a failure, because you know that no matter what, everything is always on its way to you. That is promised to you. You get to ignore the lack and see the abundance. And so, moving on, Hold to your purpose. Certain as possible. I'm just trying to see, was there anything else? It says, oh, I chuckled when I read this. You will do well to give up most recreations and pleasures. I laughed because we had a blizzard this weekend, and it wasn't even a blizzard, but we prepared for blizzards. I'm home alone, and a pleasure of mine is that I had some cannabis, and I had been like, I used it liberally yesterday because it was Sunday. Like, I just got to just do whatever I wanted. But this morning I was feeling a little bit of guilt about it. And I was like, why am I judging myself? Right? Because I was believing some things about it and some things about my identity. And I laugh because it's a pleasure. Like, all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. And this book says you would do well to give up most recreations and pleasures. And I laugh about cannabis because it's a psychoactive drug. And when we're talking about the tool of the mind, and we talk about of recreation or pleasure, is it beneficial? It's so debated. Like, I'm not even here to debate it, but I laughed about that. So anyway, it talks about spending most of your leisure time in contemplating your vision and in cultivating gratitude and in reading this book. So that's that. I'm gonna land there. It's a good one. It's a good one. I'm gonna come back with the summary and we're gonna wrap this up. I said this in the previous video, but I'm thinking about potentially doing A Course in Miracles, but that's such a deep read. It's such a deep, deep, deep read. And so I don't know how I want to go about that, but that's one that I definitely recommend. So I'm going to leave it there. Have a good night or good day. Bye.